Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another discussion theory video. Today we're going to be breaking down and looking at the different categories there are in identifying a scale model build, but we're going to be looking more at Gunpla, science fiction, the Bandai realm of community, social media, and all that sort of thing. As per the post you see on the screen, looking around social media, it's very difficult to get reference materials and looking for certain styles or methods of builds. When I was looking for examples to create this video on Google, had a lot of trouble in ciphering through all the pictures to find what is a correct scratch build, and things such as customs, enhanced and modified pictures. I was inspired to create this video from this very thread on Facebook, mostly people in actually admitting being quite confused with the terminology thrown around compared to industries such as fabrication and other sects of the hobby. A lot of terminology and subjecting these are borrowed from industry as well as the IPMS, and terms I'm very familiar in other scale modeling circles. Shall we begin? Custom is not really an appropriate or well-defining term to be using in what you did, how you built or finished the kit. The definition really means anything from what you've done outside the set of instructions from snapping. So the addition of extra stickers, the use of a Gundam marker, placing parts or stickers other than what the instruction shows is more or less a custom. So pretty much about 97% of all builds out there are customs. Where it may also lead to confusion is in the source material of the Mobile Suit Gundam animation books and comics. The term custom is also assigned to individual mobile suits or robots, in how a character has had their robot coloured, modified and performance enhanced to fit the conditions that that robot is in the universe of the source material, such as painting it red, adding extra weapons or output thrusters, etc. What some people do, and is completely acceptable and quite cool, is when you're redesigning, painting, building, changing a kit up, and create it within your own universe, preferences or whatnot, and call it a custom for a particular character, fictional character that you're made up, a fan project or for your very self, that would be a completely different story, such as an RX-78 Man custom. The first and most basic of our definitions is out-of-the-box snap, can also be referred to OOB. All this is your model has been built as per instructions, utilizing everything or most of the items within the kit and following the course of the instructions. Now remember that these levels are more so styles and preferences. Some modelers may have multiple preferences and do some out of the box, others other styles. Has no impact on skill. A beginner would be likely to allow the seams to be visible and nubs untrimmed. Someone of more experienced persuasion would put the effort to polish down the nubs, get rid of the imperfections, and top coat it to have an almost toy-like appearance in this category. The next step is out of the box painted. The model has been built only utilizing parts from within the box for a competition, commission or display, but has been painted either by the art depicted or instructions recommended by the manufacturer or source material, or per the design of the modeler themselves. Works that they can do on the model can include gluing, removing of nubs, imperfections like injector pin marks, flash marks, seam lines, filling seam lines with glue and putty, utilizing a glue, and pinning very weak joints. Occasionally, custom decaling or water slide decals from outside the kit can be introduced. This varies from competition, league, and society. It is to be noted, some kits are specially designed to be painted and look absolutely amazing from an out-of-the-box painted or snap look, such as the Real Grade line or the Master Grade Suzabi version car. Other kits to achieve a really nice competition or regal finish kit out of the box does take a substantial amount of work. Particular models are produced before the 2000s up to the vintage level ones. Enhanced still follows the rules of out of the box, painted or not, but that's when you start making changes to the surface and the plastic, such as removing parts, cutting off parts, repositioning them and gluing back down, as well as chamfering corners, trimming parts, sharpening parts, rounding parts off, and carving in panel lines. You also start heading into the realm of shading, weathering, getting more of a photorealistic look, or getting your models to resemble closer to the source material than just a plastic looking kit. Modified is the most common type of model you will come across in all shapes, sizes, skill levels, finishes, and modelers, as well as models. This can very easily be confused with scratch building. This is where you get to the level of changing the appearance and either turning your Gundam into something completely different, a redesign, enhancement of certain areas, and all of these modifications can range from adding of aftermarket parts, swapping parts, building up detail with putty, styrene plate, metals, utilization of aftermarket parts such as photo etch, resin bits that pin onto the kit or cover on the kit, especially generic aftermarket plastic parts that glue on, cutting and removing of panels, recessing details, fabricating components or parts and applying it to the frame or the kit itself, utilization of LEDs, moving parts, dioramas, interaction with other models or multiple models. The list absolutely does go on. When talking about your model, entering in a competition or posting on social media, as modified is such a broad term, you would normally follow it up with a description of exactly what you've done to the kit, what you've added, what you've subtracted it, then going into the painting stage and finishing stage. This gives everyone an idea of exactly what's going on and not to confuse the definition of a true scratch build. You can go as far as using a handful of parts or just an inner frame and fabricating the rest of the armor and the entirety of the body of the model, and it can be almost completely fabricated. It's still a modified model or a scratch build utilizing parts of the kit, which leads into the next section. A modified build may borrow a couple of parts from another kit, though if you're utilizing more than 2 or more models to bash together to create a single project, machine or mobile suit, this is a kit bash. Even if it is to make a recognizable from the source model, one or the other, or you bash, modify and scratch build to the point where the model is completely unrecognizable and goes down to your own design and artistic construction. This can also be confused as a scratch build, but you are utilizing parts that are already been prefabricated and created for you to utilize them in a different fashion. Kit bashing can be an insane amount of fun and one of my preferred methods of modeling. I do enjoy looking at them. What leads people to get the skill and interest in scratch building is starting off small and doing components, parts or weapons. If you do scratch build a component using raw materials, this should definitely be celebrated and recognized. Your build is still modified or out of the box and an introduced object, but it's still not quite a scratch build. This would be located under the description as this is a modified build with a scratch build weapon, skirt, part, head, etc. The true definition of scratch building is to create a model or a sculpture out of absolute raw materials, being putty, plastic, foam, sheet metal, whatnot, pipes, basic shapes and containers, combining, putting, gluing, welding and putting together to create something from absolute scratch. This is a rarity in our community, a little more common in other fields of modelling as well, though due to the misuse of the term scratch build, you do not see it a lot in social media, Google searches and whatnot. The people who are creating bits and pieces from scratch do not really get the time and limelight and attention that's deserving from their skill, effort and material inputted. Common examples you will see of true scratch builds are from other aspects, hobbies and crafts within the fandom of the Gundam anime and source material. You'll see them at conventions and as well as social media, from construction of paper art, cardboard art to large sculptures out of cardboard, costume, plastic armor and cloth that's applied to the body to go around to cons, or complete armor suits where people walk around, sometimes with moving bits and LEDs, as well as fabricated steel metal art out of pipe and sheet metal, sometimes junk that's displayed on the outside of a home, park, a farm or whatnot. They can look out of proportion, not quite right, or even downright ugly, but under no circumstances should they ever be put off or memed, made fun of, due to the amount of work, time, attention and most importantly skill that's applied to these. There is one meme going around of a fairly unproportionated RX-78 that's quite rusty, that someone would have welded together out of what was found on the property. Very, very fascinating. I would, however, love to see more true and complete scratch builds out there, and it's something that should be posted around and commented and giving its due respect. Last and the newest addition, 3D printing. Even if you may have done all the CAD work, designed, drafted and printed it out of the machine to your designs and specifications, or you may have downloaded someone else's job, borrowed IP, modified it, mixed it, printed it out in parts or whole, the fabrication process is done via a machine and material that's being fed in and not by your hand. This makes things very difficult, thus why it is sort of in a category by itself, even if you do some parts and add it to a modified build. With all of this, including scratch build, it's very important to mention what you've done, as once painted, it's hard to tell for anyone who was not involved in the process or saw the work in progress photos, information to judge. This concludes my video. You should never really feel ashamed of what aspect you feel your modeling style fits on, or where it may transition from one area or preference to another. There takes all sorts of skills for someone to build a really, really good out-of-the-box snap kit that's polished beautifully, or someone that is absolutely scratch building out of raw material, though it doesn't have as nice of a polished look as someone who has access to something that's already pre-designed and molded out and only needs to be applied, snapped together and some products applied to. To get the due respect and attention for what you have created, applying the correct tags as well as title helps draw people to your work and other works. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. We make videos once a week. Have a look at Facebook. There is always quite a bit of content that's going on there on any given week, and we shall catch you guys next time. See you later.